morning and welcome to Morning Pulse, the pulse of Nigerian politics right here on Active Citizens. My name is Sharon Enemchuku. Joining me live in the studio, I have with me Ifoma Oji. Good morning, how are you doing?
Good morning, Sharon.
How are you doing?
I'm very well.
You know what time it is?
Day of the week.
Thank God it's Friday.
Yes, I think at this point, you guys should name me Miss Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Miss Friday.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised when I introduce
Fridays.
you as Friday.
No, Miss Friday.
Miss Friday. Okay.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes.
I'll keep that locked somewhere. Now we're going straight to the stories that we have for today. Two stories actually, but first we're starting with the appointment of Professor Joash Amupitan as the new INEC chairman. A name unfamiliar to many, but now tasked with overseeing Nigeria's electoral future. Who is he? What does he stand for? And most importantly, who does he answer to? Then in Kanu, the government is making headlines again. This time for sponsoring a mass wedding for 2,000 couples. Yes, you heard right. 2,000 couples. A noble gesture or a political chess move? With poverty and insecurity choking the north, many are asking, are these weddings a gift or a distraction? Well, that is a valid question. And we have to start first of all from the appointment of Professor Joash Amupitan as the new INEC chairman. So let me just tell you, this is really interesting to look at because there was just a whole lot before the appointment of the INEC chairman. But my first question is today, why the appointment of an acting INEC chairman in person of Mayor Agbamuche only to nominate in less than 3 days some, professionals to fill in that position of INEC chairman? And then we are seeing, oh, Joash Amupitan has been announced as INEC chairman. So where did the woman act? Because they appointed her as the acting INEC chairman. So help me, let this make sense for me. I don't get this.
She acted for 3 days.
Acted what?
Yes, now as INEC chairman for 3 days.
That's insane.
Yes, now it's like this movie I watched one time when certain guy, I think that should be Will Smith, was given the opportunity to become God in a week.
Oh.
Just that her own is just 3 days.
Oh.
And we weren't even able to see any reforms at all because I mean it's just 3 days. It's just ceremonial, and it's crazy that just like what Mr. Sacramento said, that she was never going to last even up to a week.
I thought he was exaggerating.
Yeah,
I felt that he was
so
just
too.
exaggerating because I was trying to make sense of it. How will an acting chairman last just a week? I saw 3 days. Wow, Nigeria, there will always be things to shock you every single time. And then, people have come out again. And I just want us to take some comments on X because a lot of people have come out to just give their various opinions on how it is so weird and bizarre that the president of a nation would come out and be the one to nominate or to appoint an INEC chairman. And a lot of people came out to say different things, saying that it is unfair and that he would have to answer to the man that appointed him, which is the president of Nigeria. But we have seen Joash Amupitan. Is there, from his past record now and his credentials and the number of years he's spent in the academia, right? Do we see a difference now with his past record of Mahmoud Yakubu?
Okay, when you're talking about past record, many people don't even know, part or maybe almost or some of his credentials. So I would just maybe give little overview of who he is and what he has achieved for so many years now. So Joash Ojo Amupitan was actually born in Kogi State in the year 1967, and he is married to Mrs. Yemisi Amupitan, and he earned his Bachelor of Laws degree from University of Jos in 1987. He was called to bar in 1988 and Master of Laws from Jos in 1993, completed PhD in Laws from Jos in 2003, joined University of Jos in 19 1989 as assistant lecturer, and he rose to head of department, that is public law, then dean of faculty of law, then chairman of committee of deans and director. He was equally conferred senior advocate of Nigeria in 2014, and his specialization is he specialized on law of evidence, corporate governance, privatization law, reform of electoral laws, petroleum industry law reform, and he has established more than 50 articles and many more. So that's what I just listed right there. It's more like part of his milestone, and if I am to say anything, it is incredible for me. At least when you're saying that this is the new INEC chairman, it is you look at his past records, you're seeing that, oh, this man actually has qualified credentials to even standing for this position. But the problem here lies in the fact that we are yet to see anything like him governing political affairs or even INEC affairs.
That's another question. Has he had a chance to rule, or not to rule, but to contribute politically before?
Yeah, we've not seen anything like that. He has been a professor. He is grounded when it comes to legal affairs and the rest of them, but we are yet to see anything pertaining to, his social life, the way he handles crisis and the rest of them. So these are questions that people will be asking. Does he have the ability to manage the affairs of INEC? So that's actually the big question we are asking.
The presidency came out to say that he's apolitical, and a lot of people were saying, oh, of course you are going to say that. I mean, you appointed him, you nominated him. You are not going to come out and tell us he's playing partisan politics. But unfortunately, when I personally did my research, we've not been able to see exactly where he stands politically. Definitely. He has not been very open about where he stands politically. So, that's one thing. But another thing is, going forward now, can we expect that same transparency, or that same being neutral when it concerns politics and when it concerns giving his own views and not allowing his personal opinion playing politics? And he is sitting on, to be honest, the most important seat when it concerns our election, being the INEC chairman right now. But one more question, one question that a lot of people have on their minds but haven't asked now. With his past credentials, everything you just listed, which I think is really phenomenal, is that enough qualification to prove to Nigerians that this is the man that would be able to hold our electoral processes accountable and make sure that it is free and fair?
Well, from his credentials, you could actually suspect or predict that he has the capacity to do that. But somebody that was appointed by the executive, somebody that was appointed by the president, you could see the built-in tension of people across Nigeria and in Nigeria if this man will act independently. That is the most important question we should be asking here, because just like what we discussed yesterday, that there is possibility that he would try to maybe repay the favor, because for the president to choose him or appoint him means that maybe some sort of he owes his allegiance somehow to the president. So he might be wanting to kind of return that favor to the president.
Yes.
So that is kind of going to make it very difficult for him to maybe act independently as INEC body should be.
All right, now this is exactly what people are saying, and this is the reservation that a lot of people have. The fact that although his credentials are impressive, it's the fact that he was appointed by the president, someone who is going to contest in the coming elections, and that is where people have their discrepancies. But since we have a new INEC chairman and there is a possibility for a new way for things to be run, I know if Mr. Dana Sacramento and Mr. Ladimiji were here, they would have different, in fact, opposite opinion on what I just said. They would say it's just a continuation of Mahmoud Yakubu and what Mahmoud Yakubu did. But now, if that is going to be the case, how can we as a civil society try to hold this person accountable even before he is given the opportunity to either choose between playing on the side of Nigerians or playing for who appointed him as INEC chairman?
You know, it's actually sad that this whole screening processes that the civil society and Nigerians at large didn't participate in
initially.
This. Yes. So had it been that we were actively, you know, participants of this processes, I can actually maybe like beat my chest and say, oh, we have actually gotten an independent INEC chairman. But for the fact that, yes, they did their screening, the president appointed him, the council equally cross-checked him or vetted him, it's now left for the Senate to vet him, and Nigerians have no say in the whole thing, though they are trying to make it public. But at the same time, like I said earlier, it is quite difficult for him to act independently because, like I said earlier, he was nominated, and there is a big or huge question that there's possibility of him being compromised at the end of the day. All right.
So, now, you know, we also said in the beginning of this conversation that from what we have seen, we've not been able to see anything that Amupitan has said as regards electoral reforms or his stance on politics or which side of the coin he is on. We don't know what he has said. Do you think that that is a problem, or is that a saving grace for him?
Okay, it's kind of a problem, but not really a problem. He was just appointed yesterday, you understand, and he has only undergone just one, apart from the nomination, just one screening by the council. He is yet to be vetted by the Senate.
No, I'm asking, right, from his past records, right, from the time when he was in the academia and he has been doing his different deeds. He has not come out to publicly say anything as concerning his political stance or his political views or ideologies. Do we think that that is a problem or it's not?
First of all, nobody knows him then. He is just coming to the limelight because of this, and I felt that he should have portrayed himself or projected himself in the public space as regards, I mean, he already knows the situation of Nigeria, he already knows the constitution, he already knows, you know, the affairs of INEC. So he would have played a better game earlier on before this appointment. So people might actually be asking or beg to ask the question, if there is possibility that this man will stand for the people because of the fact that, I mean, he has not been actively present in political activities or affairs in the state. You understand? So, yeah, what you just said is there's every likelihood that, I mean, people will, you know, ask
you know, there's another thing, right? When we saw the acting chairman that was appointed briefly, extremely briefly, Mia Agbamuche, right? They said she is the senior INEC national chairman. And there were a lot of comments as regarding that, people saying that because she is the longest standing national chairman, that she actually has more to offer, knows about the terrain of elections and what to do and what not to do. Maybe it would be nice to have her as an INEC chairman, not as acting. But we've seen what has happened. They've kept her aside and come out now to bring someone from the academia into the INEC front, now as the INEC chairman. From what we have seen before, when we talk about appointments and political offices and nepotism, do we think that bringing people just because they have a huge, long line of achievements in a particular sector that is not related to elections, now I'm talking about the academia, do we think that because of that past record, that this Amupitan actually is more qualified than the now former acting INEC chairman in person of me, Agbamuchi?
Okay, if I'm to compare the both, and maybe profile the better candidate for INEC, I think May Agbamuche would have done an excellent job, because I mean she has been in INEC for a very long time, and she has witnessed the lapses, the glitches, and the rest of them. She understands how, you know, all this affairs is being run, and she would have been in the better position to create that opportunity for this reform in INEC that we have been talking about. But this particular Amupitan here, we have not seen anything concerning INEC or him handling, you know, the affairs of INEC before. So if I'm to compare the both of them, I think May Agbamuche would have done an excellent job if she was, you know, allowed to become that INEC chairman, because like even the constitution that I mentioned that day, that she is the most senior officer that would have, you know, replaced Yakubu, Mahmoud Yakubu. But I don't know how this whole thing played on, because of the fact that, I mean, it wasn't really constitutional that she, from being the acting INEC chairman, will become the acting chairman. That it still have to be the president that will appoint the INEC chairman. So you're seeing the disparity in this whole thing here. But I think she would have done an excellent job anyway. But
at the end of the day, we can never tell anymore, since we have a new INEC chairman in person of Professor Joash Amopitan. And from every Nigerian's mouth, we are saying one thing: we need electoral reforms. We need to see something completely different from what we witnessed in 2023 presidential and general elections. And we are going to be watching, not just from the sidelines now, to see what or how Joash Amopitan is going to handle this new position. We have to move over to the next story in Kano State. This is rather amusing and also worrisome. The fact that Kano State government has left the insecurity that is bordering on the state to now focus on the love lives of its residents. So the Kano State government is actually sponsoring 2,000 couples. Now they're having a mass wedding for 2,000 couples, expecting to pay almost 2 billion naira to handle all of that process. And now not just are they handling the wedding or the ceremony, they are also promising to give out furnitures, give out household equipment and utensils, cooking utensils, whatever it is that they want to give out to the newly wedded couples. Now, for this to happen, they have made an announcement that the residents of Kano should come and register, and they should conduct a test, HIV test, genotype test, all the necessary tests to make sure that they pass that medical check. But my question is, a mass wedding, in the type of climate that we have right now in Nigeria, insecurity, the economy, people that are hungry on the streets every single day, the number of out-of-school children, and the businesses that have been collapsing every other day, what is really the business of the Kano State government with the marital affairs of its residents, Ifoma?
You know, when I saw this, it's quite funny. But when I read through it, I saw that their Hisba board, it's more like a law that was established since 2003 by the Kano State, you know, government. So it has been in existence. Even in 2023, we saw this case whereby they married off about 1,800 persons with over 800 million. So it's more like a tradition for them. And they said, according to them, they said that it's more like a way to kind of care. It's more like a social welfare for their own people. So people that are menless, the widows, divorcees, and the rest of them, and single people, yeah, that is a way to, you know, help them out. It's a way for the government to show care to their people. And then they equally talked about, you know, the moral and social order, in the sense that they will curb prostitution, promiscuity, and the rest of them. So they are seeing it as a package, a goodwill package for their own people. They are not even seeing this thing that you're saying right now. They are seeing it as an avenue to help their people. But
so they actually think they are helping.
Yeah, they think they are helping, exactly. For people that cannot afford marital rights, like payment of dowries because of the situation of the country.
But you know, Ifoma, right? If you cannot afford to get married, maybe you shouldn't get married. Have you ever thought of that? Maybe if you cannot afford to get married, it means that you can't afford to take care of your child, which also invariably means that when you do have a child, that child is going to go to the street and become a Marjorie, begging on the street. It means that your child is automatically going to be out of school. It means that if you get your wife pregnant and she has some complications whatsoever, the complications that comes with childbirth, it means you're not going to be able to foot her medical bills. So if you're not able to get married, shouldn't the right thought be to establish these people financially? Now, create job opportunities. The 2 billion naira that was spent on decorating halls and getting these people married off, after they've been married off, please, will the Kano state government be actively involved in their lives? Now, 5 years down the line, when their child falls sick, I hope there is a free healthcare for Kano state residents. I hope there's free public schools for them. I hope that they have access to reading materials, because I'm still you are trying to curb prostitution. What led people to prostitution? You think they all enjoy walking about in the night, selling their bodies off? If there were good job opportunity for these people, if they had where to lay their heads at the end of the day, do you think that prostitution would still be on the high as it is now? So you want to curb prostitution, you are sending people to go get married. So you think that married people don't sleep outside? Kano state government, is that what we are hearing now?
Sharon, this headache you're having in there.
No, you must. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand their thought process.
Okay, let me tell you. This is more like what has been massively, accepted by the people of Kano State. If they are against it, you still see it in the headlines that, these 2,000 persons are against it. But for the fact that they are seeing it, maybe they are illiterate, bunch of illiterates, that they are not understanding that this process or what the government is trying to, put them into will further escalate poverty. They are seeing it as a way of the government, assisting them, coming to their aid financially. And the question you just asked is quite apt, because it's not about getting married. What are the plans of the man or even that family sustaining the family? That is the big question here. It's not really about tying the knot. It's not about spending 2-point-something billion on marital rights and gifts and the rest of them. It's about when you start giving birth, how do you take care of these children? But another thing is that these people don't care. They can't question their government. They can't ask their governor, this money that about 2-point-something billion that you're spending for us to get about 2,000 people to get married, why don't you channel it into education? Why don't you channel it into creating more job opportunities? Why don't you channel it to upskill people, or maybe create an avenue where people will gain a lot of skills? You understand? Because I believe that even though a lot of persons are illiterate there are still people that are much interested in, getting educated. But because of the fact that, bunch of them are illiterate, they don't ask this question from their government. And this whole thing will keep on going on and on every single year. So,
it is really, this one is not sad. This particular case is maddening. It is maddening because this is man's inhumanity to man. It is wickedness like I've never seen before. I am not even seeing an iota of benefit in all of this. You are saying to curb prostitution. I am not seeing it at all. It's a social welfare. I am not seeing that at all. I don't still understand. It's so bizarre. And it's unheard of. And you only hear of this in Nigeria. It's only in Nigeria you can hear that a government or a state that is in absolute poverty, trying to find its feet, economic hardship here and there, is marrying off its residents with 2 billion naira. Now you are using 2 billion naira to, you are not even setting them up. It's for the wedding. Now we know wedding is for a day. I don't know how many days their own wedding ceremony is, but it's normally for a day. After that day, what is the sustainability plan for that family? Now you are telling me that you are bringing out 2 billion naira to make sure that people in a state get married, but they don't have jobs to use to take care and fend for their families. There are no free education for their kids. There is no free healthcare for the entire family. There are no job opportunities at all anywhere. Okay, if there are no jobs, what about skills? No skills provided. And you are saying 2,000 of you come out, I will sponsor. You know, it's like going to the club with that rich friend of yours who will not help you financially, but is ready to spend money on bottles, buying Azul and the rest, but will not give. This is what this Kano State government just did. I refuse to see anything good that they plan or was their intention for this group of people, for this residents of theirs that they want to marry off. And you know, when you see things like this, it is really, really, really annoying. Okay. And it just says a whole lot about where we are as a nation. And you know, when you kept talking, you mentioned repeatedly that these people are illiterate. But I have a question. Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it that Kano State residents are illiterate and are not asking questions? Isn't it the government? Who put them in that position in the first place? Is it affordable? Is education affordable? What is the state of the education in Nigeria, in Kano State? We saw the other day a leaking roof in Ekiti State, where instead of children to be learning in classrooms, they will come and start packing water. So whose fault is it that they are illiterate?
And I equally saw, I was asking the question, like, what is the plan that this marriage is going to last? Maybe like 2 years or 3 years, or even have, you know, this long longevity. I was asking myself that question, and I read in their what's it called, in the news story, that there is consequences if you should divorce or separate from your partner. That those things, those gifts, those marital rights that they paid, the state contributed, you will definitely refund every dime. And for me, this is more like a band-aid cure. This is band-aid, because just like you said, you rightfully said, why not provide job opportunities? Why not, you know, create infrastructure? Why not employ these people? Why not educate, you know, these people? If these people are educated, if they are learned, they will hustle for themselves to feed for their families. Right. You understand? Yeah. If they have jobs, they will create more jobs for people in the state. So it's more like you're trying to bandage a wound, but you're not providing solution for that wound not to suffice again, and which for me is terrible.
You know, thank you very much, Ifoma. If we continue on this particular story, I would be forced to go to Kano State government and have them sit down. Please, what is going on? Explain to me, because no matter how I try to see it from the angles that I'm trying to, it's still not making sense. This is the most bizarre thing I'm going to hear this month, and it's too early. This is too early for that. But anyways, thank you, Ifoma Oji, for this wonderful conversation. Thank you for joining me today as always, and for holding it down. And also to our viewers, we thank you for always joining us on the conversation. If you're yet to subscribe and follow us, what are you waiting for? Please endeavor to do that. Find us across all media at Active Citizens. You can also find me on my personal Instagram and Facebook page at Sharon NM Chuku. And you, Reformer? You
can find me on Facebook at Oji Sophia and on Instagram at Miss Alex.
All right. Till we see you this afternoon, where we talk about lighter, more entertaining stories. Do have a good morning.